Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining us here for another Wealthy Winning Wednesday. Woohoo! Who is excited about today? Hi, Irene from Colorado Springs. Hi, Janice. Welcome, everybody. Today is our last session of Be the Boss, and we're going to recap all the awesome tools that we've learned, go through the complete process from start to finish, and then we have a case study of boutique brokerage, a little mom and pop shop. We're going to work through the brokerage and find out how they can innovate their business. So today our book is Blue Ocean Strategy, Chapter 8 for our 8th session. That makes sense, right? And The Execution Factor, which is a book all about, you guessed it, taking action, executing on those plans. We've been learning, we've been growing, we've been thinking and innovating and developing, and now it's time to put all those tools into place and to take action. Hi, Elisa from Mount Kisco, New York. Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Who's ready to get started? Woohoo! Today we have for you here, I'm going to go ahead and share our file to get started, the workbook. You can go ahead and download that now. Let me know once you have the workbook and you're ready to go. Hopefully you're at your office or your desk or somewhere where you can take notes and walk through the process, but if not, that's okay. You can do it later with the workbook. Here we are, 8th of 8 sessions, Be the Boss and Dominate Your Market. These 8 sessions have been all about real estate brokerages that innovate, differentiate, and capture unique market share with Blue Ocean Strategy success. And today we're going to continue the conversation, wrap it up. Please let me know in the chat if you have received your workbook that I made available. Elise says, got it. Okay, great. Yes, and thank you from Janice. Woohoo! You're welcome. Yay! All right, we're going to get going here. Our last and final session of Be the Boss and Dominate Your Market. And we know BOSS stands for Blue Ocean Strategy Success. Welcome to your future. It's so bright, we have to wear shades. Today's quote is one of my quotes. So I called it a queen quote from our chess game. To achieve a different result, you have to take different action. Now, it would seem like common sense, but how many of us are stuck? We're doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a different result. And we all know that Einstein said that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. So now we want to achieve a different result. To do that, we have to take different action. If we're stuck in this red ocean with all these other competitors, they're all doing the same thing. We're all competing head to head, competing for the same agents, fighting over the same customers, stealing each other's agents and resources, and nobody's doing anything different. So we're all stuck in this little pool, and there's just too many of us. Blue Ocean Strategy is about breaking away from the crowd and doing something different, finding a niche or a need in the marketplace that's not fulfilled and tapping into that to not only bring something new to the marketplace, but to be a leader in your industry. Oh, okay. We got an interesting conversation going on there. Irene says, I have the workbook. And Janice and Elisa, looks like you know each other. So that's pretty awesome. So as you know, we've been going over these 8 sessions. We've learned what Blue Ocean strategy is. We've gone over each of the tools and learned them. Today, we're not going to go over any tools. I mean, we're not going to learn any new tools. We're just going to recap what we've already learned, and then we're going to apply it, put it into action. And I am Regina Brown, your host for today. And I think you already know me by now, so we won't waste time with the introductions. But again, I am Blue Ocean Academy certified. All right, so for today's presentation, we have a summary of the steps, a sample brokerage, and then the execution factor, putting into action everything we've learned. We're going to start with our first poll here. And our poll is, this is the same question that we actually asked at the very beginning in session number 1. We asked, what are you seeking to innovate? So between session 1, which was 8 weeks ago, and today, have your views changed? Are you still innovating or seeking to innovate the same thing, or is it something different? So the choices are A, start up a new brokerage, B, revamp your existing brokerage, or C, is it something else? Go ahead and let us know which one of those 3 it is. It looks like we have 100% of respondents saying B, revamp your existing brokerage. All right, we're going to end the poll now. Everybody said B, so hooray, we're all on the right track here. But if you want to use Blue Ocean strategy for something else personally, or another business venture, or even a nonprofit organization you're involved with, that's perfectly okay too. Blue Ocean is all about value innovation. It's not just innovation, but it's bringing value to the table and simultaneously raising your bottom line, maximizing your profit. The advantages of innovation are that you can recognize trends in the market and leverage them. Mastering the innovation process is so important to stay afloat in your business in any industry, but especially the real estate industry, because it's so competitive. There are many needs that may be unidentified with our customers, whether they're agents, buyers, sellers, investors, corporate clients. All of those customer groups may have needs that are not identified and not being fulfilled. Why? Simply because everybody's doing the same thing. We're all copying each other, and we're ignoring some of the other needs of our customers. By identifying those needs and fulfilling them, you have the perfect opportunity to take a leadership position, to offer something differentiated, to do something new and innovative, and most importantly, stay ahead of market changes. Have other people following you instead of you following and copying them, right? Here's our little value innovation chart. So again, we're starting with reducing the costs. And by reducing the operational costs, we have a cost savings. The way we do that is by eliminating and reducing factors the industry competes on. The second part is to raise the buyer value. Now, when we say buyer, we don't mean like a person who's buying a house. Buyer is a customer, right? Somebody who's buying our product or service. So we lift that value by raising and creating elements the industry has never offered before in the past. Now, when many businesses want to maximize their profits, They may do one or the other. They may try to reduce their costs or raise their value, but they frequently don't do both. However, we are going to do both simultaneously, reduce costs and raise value, which leads to the value innovation. That's when a new market is created and previous non-customers are reached. And we'll show you how to reach those non-customers today. The Titanic sunk because the captain underestimated the icebergs under the water. We know there are some icebergs there, but in addition to all the sharks and the enemy fire. Is your brokerage prepared for market disruption? What about another depression similar to what happened 10 years ago? Would you survive that? Would you be ready for a disaster if it came to your area? And how would you adapt and lead the charge? And here you are sailing out in your boat to that wonderful, beautiful island away from all your competitors. You're now in the blue ocean because you innovated. You adapted and led the market. However, remember, there might be some icebergs underneath the ocean that you can't see. So let's dive in and find our strategy to get to those blue oceans and make sure we don't hit an iceberg on the way. We have another poll for you. Do you have a dream team assembled? Your dream team are the people who help put together your innovation plan. Those are the people who are going to help you lead the charge, who are going to give you the feedback and be part of your mastermind group, and not necessarily somebody who's an employee at your company. It could be a spouse, a business partner. It could be one of your top agents or an affiliate partner that you're working with. It could be part of your mentoring program or somebody who's guiding you. So do you have your dream team in place? And the answers are yes. A is yes, already in place. B is I'm working on gathering them. And C is no, not yet. All right, we got 50-50 here answers. 50% said B, work on gathering them. And C, no, not yet. But that's why you're here today, to learn and grow. Okay, poll just changed. 67% said no, not yet. So we've identified that as an area that we're going to work on this coming week, is getting our dream team together. Okay, there we go. Ended the poll. All right, let's go through the summary of our blue ocean steps. In your workbook there, you should see 10 steps. They are the strategy canvas, the 4 actions framework, the ERC grid, that stands for eliminate, reduce, raise, create, the 6 paths framework, 3 tiers of non-customers, the strategic sequence, the buyer utility map, price quarter, profit model, and overcoming 4 organizational hurdles. You're going to see on your sheet there a strategy canvas, and we know how the strategy canvas works, is that you go ahead and map out your competitors. You can sort of lump them all together, and you put the factors that the industry competes on across the bottom. In this example, the company has put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 factors across the bottom. And then depending on whether the offering level is high, low, or average, that would go, the red dot would go high or low. And then you're going to rate yourself on the scale with a black dot. And then you're going to decide on your new strategy, and that will be the blue dots. So again, red is for the industry, all your competitors. Black is where you are. And then blue is where you want to get to. Okay, 4 actions framework. So there's 4 things that we're going to do now that we have our strategy canvas. We're going to look at all those factors across the bottom and decide which factors do we need to raise. What are customers demanding that's not being fulfilled in the industry, and we can up the level? What do we need to eliminate? In other words, what factors is everybody competing on, doing the same thing, but it's kind of pointless. It's not profitable, or customers don't care about that, or it just doesn't work. So we're going to eliminate those. Then there are some factors that the industry competes on that we're going to reduce because they're not as important as everybody thinks they are. And then lastly, there are factors that the industry doesn't offer, and that's where our innovation comes in. We're going to create something that hasn't been created before. And doing all 4 of those together creates a new value curve. Okay, well, actually, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go back to the strategy canvas. Let me draw on the whiteboard for a minute. Okay, so we have our red dot right here. You know, see, here's our red dot with our competitors, and then they connect together. And then, you would put yourself wherever you are, a black dot. You're probably very, very close to a red dot of what everybody else does, right? And then you would connect yours together. And then you go down here and you look and see, well, what could be eliminated? Which of these factors can we reduce? What can we raise? What can we raise? What can we create? That's brand new. And over here in the creation, you see there's blue dots and no red dots. The red dots stop right here. So here the blue dots have eliminated these factors, reduced certain factors, and then they have raised certain factors that the industry has thought were hasn't valued as much, but customers wanted, and then they added new factors. So that's how the ERRC chart works. Let's go to that now. So there it is. ERRC, eliminate, reduce, raise, create. And you're going to see that there in your workbook. So that is basically from the strategy canvas. First, you do the strategy canvas, and then you figure out what you need to do from that. Okay, Janice says your team has expanded and you're still working on it. Okay, good for you. Awesome. I think that was in response to our poll a bit ago. The next step is a 6-pass framework. Now that we know where we're at, we know where our competitors are, we know where we want to be, how do we get there? Where do we find these brainstorm ideas? Okay, so there's 6 things we're going to do. The first one is to look across alternative industries. The next one is to look across strategic groups and then redefine customer groups. Look across complementary service offerings, rethink functional, emotional orientation, and shape external trends over time. It's sort of hard to do this without a real life example. We are going to go through this as a real estate brokerage in just a minute. Okay, do we have any questions so far about this 6-pass framework? Anybody? Okay, we're going to keep going here. All righty, we're going to clear our whiteboard. The next step is the 3 tiers of non-customers. So we can see where our current market is. That's the bloody red water where everybody is competing head to head with all the competitors. But the world is so huge. There are many, many more customers other than those that we have tapped into. Why are they not customers in our current market? Well, because they are soon to be non-customers. They are current customers, but they got one foot out the door and they're about to jump ship and not be a customer. You have those that are refusing non-customers. They consciously choose against being a customer. And then you have unexplored non-customers. They're in markets distant from yours and nobody's ever thought of them as a customer. Okay, so once you define who those groups are of non-customers, now we're going to look at the sequence. The sequence is where we put the pieces together. Now you've thought of how you can reach these customers, what type of new product you can offer or services, or how you can reinvent your company to be able to reach those non-customers. So, yay, that's awesome. But now we have to make sure that it fits in our price range. So we start with customer utility. Is there exceptional customer utility in your business idea? In other words, is it something that is different and unique and offers value to the customer that would make them be attracted to your company? Number 2 is price. Is your price easily accessible to the mass of clients? And if it's not, you're going to go back and rethink it. And we're going to go through price in just a minute. The next step is cost. Once we set the price, now let's look at our profit margin and what it costs us. And can we attain that price at the cost that we need to in order to make a profit? And does that align with our financials? Because remember, this is big picture thinking and we don't do the financials until later. First, we dream, put the pieces together, and then we crunch it and make it make sense. So cost, if it doesn't work, we rethink it. And lastly is adoption. Are there any adoption hurdles? Which that will be the last thing that we're going to look at. Okay, so we're going to go through all of these. And then we have the customer utility map. Customer utility is, that is the stages of the customer experience cycle. So there's 6 different stages. The first is purchase. The second is delivery. The third is use. The fourth is supplements. The fifth is maintenance. And the sixth is disposal. Let me turn on my little whiteboard here so you can see that. So that's right across here. These are the 6 stages of the customer experience cycle. So every customer will go through these 6 stages as a customer of your company. Now, at each of those 6 stages, there are 6 utility levers that we'll be checking for, and those are right here. Boy, I am not drawing very good. Okay, there we go. There's my little circle. So the 6 utility levers are customer productivity, simplicity, convenience, risk, fun and image, and environmental friendliness. This is probably one of the most time-consuming and labor-intensive and most critical thinking areas for the whole blue ocean strategy. This takes a lot of time to go through, and it really involves taking a good hard look at yourself, where you're at, and why you're not fulfilling the needs of the current market. And it's a little tough to look at sometimes too, because when I was going through one of these earlier for my own company, I saw there were actually a lot of holes for the customer. And so often we're stepping back and we're in the shoes of the real estate broker and we're looking at a transaction from our eyes. And we often don't put ourselves in the shoes of our customers and understand the experience they have and what they go through in buying a home, selling a home, trying to make a living as an agent, or investing in real estate. And we're very detached from their process most of the time. So it's really important for us to put ourselves in their shoes and go through this whole process. One thing I did is, I put myself in the shoes of somebody I know well, my mom. And as my mom goes through and buys or sells a house, how would she rank each of these, knowing what her experience is, knowing that, she'd call me on the phone and talk to me about all these experiences that she's having with the agents, with the process, with the paperwork, with the other agent on the other side. So there are many, many holes in this customer experience cycle that we have the opportunity to fulfill. I hope this is making sense for everybody. Let's go to the next part, which is the price corridor of the mass. This helps us to know what everybody is charging and where we can position ourselves price-wise. In this section, we're going to look at, let me turn my little whiteboard on again. There we go. We're going to look at where everybody else is, all the competitors, for the same product that serves a different function, or it serves the same form and function, but it's in a different format, but it serves the same objective. And so here you can see where the prices are. And now we know this is what most people, consumers, are willing to pay for a similar product or service. And so now we go here and we see to specify price level. Now we see, is our product or service difficult to imitate? Does it have something proprietary, or it takes a lot of resources, a lot of capital to get started, or it's something that requires a lot of connections? If it's difficult to imitate, then we can set our upper level pricing. Whereas if it's easy for everybody else to imitate, we're going to be down here and in our lower level pricing. Then of course you have your mid-level pricing. So within this price corridor, we're going to be either high or low depending on these factors. And that's how we set our pricing. Next slide. This is our profit model. In our profit model, we start with the strategic price, and then we go to the target profit and the target cost. Now, let me explain that, because typically in business, most businesses are going to start right here. They start with their cost. What does it cost them to make a widget? Now let's tack on a profit, and then we'll have a price for the consumers. Well, in Blue Ocean Strategy, we do it differently. We do it the opposite way. We start with our price. You just saw how we calculate our price. Then we calculate our profit that we want to earn. And then from there, we look at the money that's left, which is our cost, and we see if that makes sense. Does that cost equal what it really does cost us to offer that product or service? If not, then we have Plan B. Plan B is where we do things like streamlining, cost innovations, or partnering to get the cost down. And then once the cost is where we need it to be, then we're at our price, and that's our pricing innovation. So we're thinking of the process differently. I don't want to say backwards, but differently than a traditional business model. And then lastly, we have 4 hurdles to jump over. Cognitive hurdles, which is the status quo, or should we say the mindset of everybody. We have the resource hurdle. In other words, we don't have just millions of dollars flowing into our bank account. We don't have investors throwing, capital at us. like some of the big companies do. We have motivational hurdles. That is our team that's not on board with us because they don't share our vision and they don't understand what we're doing. And then lastly, we have the political hurdle, which is the naysayers that have always done the same thing, that will continue to do the same thing, and they influence others as well, and the need to get them on our side. As a leader, that is one of our jobs, right? All right, last poll of the day before we go through a business. And our new poll is, have you started your innovation process yet? The answers are A, yes, it's already implemented. Good for you. B, working on it now. That's great. You're making progress. Or C, no, not yet. I haven't started. And that's why you're here today. So all of these are right answers depending on where you're at. I'll give you a moment there. Looks like so far we have a lot of responses for B, which is great. All right, looks like we have 100% of responses for B, so we're going to go ahead and end that poll. Now we get to the fun part. We get to go through a sample brokerage and reinvent them. Now, to go through this process, it would probably be hours and hours, weeks, maybe even months if we have a very complex project, but probably a few weeks. We're going to do it today in about 10 minutes, okay? So this is a very abbreviated process, but it's just to help you understand the idea and help you get started on your own. Here we have Mr. Mom and Pop Shop, and we're going to call them Boutique Brokerage in any city, USA. Currently, they're serving a suburban area. It's not too populated. They're an independently owned brokerage. They've been in business since the beginning of time, and they focus on residential sales. They have no other income stream other than residential sales, which means during the recession, they were barely hanging on. Now they're recovered from the recession. They were doing well, but now they noticed their agent count has gone down. They have 10 agents, and of their 10 agents, only 3 are really producing enough that they can count on them. They offer their agents a traditional percentage split, and their recruiting of agents is primarily through word of mouth marketing. So what are the danger signs of this brokerage? Well, the brokerage owner has to work full-time selling real estate in order to keep the doors open. And if the brokerage owner production is vital, that's a sign you probably don't have a company. It's just you and, some of your salespeople who contribute sometimes. This company is barely over break even. A few years ago, 10 years ago during the recession, they barely made it through. They decided to really ramp it up. They got a lot of agents, and now boutique brokerage, a lot of agents for them is, probably 30 agents. But through attrition, the agents have been leaving to go to those flat fee competitors. And even worse, now they notice all those ads out from discount brokerages who are competing with them. So these are some danger signs. And boutique brokerage says, help, we're swimming in this red ocean. We're about to get eaten by the sharks. I don't know how much longer we're going to be around before our boat sinks. So they want to innovate their brokerage. They want to do something drastically different, sail out into the blue ocean. Oh, this is boutique brokerage. They're about to get eaten by those sharks. If I had some music, I probably should have brought some, but I play some music. I don't know if you guys watched that the little video with the baby shark, doo 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 doo, baby shark, doo 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 doo, baby shark. Okay, it's kind of a cute little shark song. Anyway, I know it's for preschoolers, but it's kind of fun. It made me think of this. Here's boutique brokerage, a shark on the right side, a shark on the left side, about to take a bite out of mom and pop shop. So the brokerage owner is going back to the drawing board, starting from square one to reinvent the business, be innovative with blue ocean strategy. So the first thing is to divide the customers into customer groups, because we're going to go through this process for each set of customers. Now in today's session, we're only going to go through one set of customers, which is the agents. We'll walk through the process, but on your own, look at your business. If you have each of these customers group, which I strongly recommend you do, then you can go through this process for each one of your customer groups. The first thing is a strategy canvas. And you'll see that there on your activity worksheet. So you're going to go ahead and write in some competitive factors. Now, turning my whiteboard on here. And instead of writing, that didn't work out last time, I think I'm just going to type a few of these down here. So competitive factors might be pay. Right? How much do you pay brokerages, or how often? Another factor might be leads. Are they generating leads? Another factor might be training. Here's a good one that I love. Tech tools. You know why I love it? Because every brokerage brags about how many tech tools they have more for their agents. Transactions. We're going to put that on there, okay? Because transaction is not something that brokerages compete on, but maybe they should. And what else can we put on there? Looking for some audience input, so let me know. What else do the agents want or need or compete on? We're going to put in here legal broker advice. And okay, one more. Let's put health insurance. Marketing, okay. Thank you, Shakita. I'm going to add that in, marketing. I'm going to abbreviate it. Okay, so there we go. So we have some factors over here that the companies compete on with each other. And pay, leads, training, tech tools, transactions, legal and broker advice, health insurance, marketing. Now let's draw a red. Let me get to my little thing here and pick a red color. There we go, red. And okay, so they say, oh, we pay you a lot. We pay you on a high commission split. It's really not high if they don't close a lot, right? And we really, most don't supply leads. So I'll put a little dot there. As far as training, okay, we have some limited training. Oh, but we're going to give you a ton of tech tools. So we'll put that up there. Transactions and closings. Okay, how many transactions do most agents close? We're going to put it down there because I think the average is 2 per agent. Are they available for broker advice? So many times we hear agents that want broker advice and their broker is not available, and they're going into these Facebook groups and asking legal questions because they're not getting the help they need. So we'll put that down here. Now, health insurance, that's interesting. How many brokerages offer health insurance? Probably very few. And then marketing, how many offer help with marketing? We'll put it right there, like very few. So these are things that the industry competes on. And I could put more things up here too, but I'm trying to think of things that the agents care about. The agents care more perhaps about things that the brokerages don't provide. So I'm going to give you my top 3 things that are pain points for agents. And this is based on my years of experience. Number 1 pain point, I'm just going to type it in here. Okay, pain points. Number 1 is uncertainty of A. Number 2 is no steady stream of business. And number 3 is no health insurance. Uncertainty of pay means that we don't know if we're going to get paid and when, because we're on a closing basis and we may be working really hard for 3 buyers. One of them cancels, one of them withdraws, and then the third one, the escrow keeps getting put off. And finally, when it does close, we have to sacrifice half our commission. So that's uncertainty of pay, and that's very common. The second one is no steady stream of business coming in for the agents. In other words, they don't know where they're going to get their next, deal from. Most of them are either paying to cold call, paying for lead generation, or they're trying to not spend the money and they're doing it themselves with their sphere of influence, and that's not a steady stream of business. And number 3 is that there's no health insurance, which most of us don't talk about too much, but more and more that is getting to be a big pain point for agents. And I'll tell you why. Many agents work part-time as real estate agents. The reason is because they cannot afford to work full-time because they have to have their primary job to pay their health insurance, or they have to have a spouse working at a regular day job to pay their health insurance. However, if they had health insurance, they could make that leap. They could make that jump over to being a full-time real estate agent and giving you 120% of effort, right? So let's look at these little factors here. We're going to just draw our little line here. And right there's a line. There's a line. Now, ideally, we would, if we had time, we would want to regroup these lines. Okay, Shukita said, how can a brokerage afford to pay health insurance for agents? Okay, I think that's a great question. I want you to keep that question in mind as we go through this process. How can you afford it? Right now, what we're doing is we're discovering where we are, what the needs are in the market. And we've noticed that there are some needs in the market that are way down here low that are not being met by our competitors or ourselves. And yet these are things that agents might care about and they're not being addressed, right? Okay, so let's keep going here and keep that in mind because we are going to come back to that. That's sort of the last step there. Okay, so now we have the 4 actions framework. Now we're going to see what can we eliminate? What can we reduce? What can we raise? What can we create? And again, let's go here. And let me get the colors going here. Okay, so what could we, first of all, what could we reduce? Okay, we could reduce maybe the something that the brokerages think is important and they're all advertising to each other, but tech tools. Okay, we give you 1 million tech tools, but agents rarely use them and they don't know how to use them. They're not engaged. Agents, maybe they don't like, office meetings, or let's call it up desk time. office meetings. Maybe they don't like the traditional office meetings. What can we eliminate? What can we raise? What can we create? So maybe we can eliminate the traditional percentage model and competing with other agents in the office. And what are things that we can raise? Well, we said training is important, but it's more than training. It's mentoring and having a broker advice available when needed. And the new things that maybe we can create that aren't in existence might be steady stream of business and regular pay and health insurance. Okay. So we're just brainstorming here. We don't know for sure if these are the right answers, but we're just brainstorming to get some ideas. Okay. And Elisa, okay, how can you pay health insurance that does not violate independent contractor status? Okay, that's a good question because we're assuming that everybody's going to be an independent contractor. What we're going to go through today is we're going to find out to offer this, maybe we can challenge the status quo and we don't have to have everybody be an independent contractor. Maybe we can have our agents be employees. So we're going to look at that today. And Janice says, not all tech tools are made the same. Very true, very true. And the best tools are the ones that you use, right? Okay, we're going to clear this out. Go on to the next page. Okay, now we are at the 6-pass framework. Now we're going to look across alternative industries, strategic groups, customer groups. Now, in the interest of time, we're not going to go through all of this today, but let's look across alternative industries. So let's say a real estate agent, or let's say a person who's a salesperson that might be a good salesperson that is not working in real estate. Where else might they be working and why? Okay, I'm going to put down one. Automobile salesperson. Because automobile sales, they get paid a salary or hourly plus huge bonuses. So they're very incentivized to close transactions. They are very competitive. They do have a state license, but yet they have a regular paycheck and they have health insurance. So you might find somebody in that industry. Complementary service off. Okay, let's go down here to rethink functional emotional orientation. Now, why do people become real estate agents? Because they have fun, they want to make money. So whatever the reason is, you can flip it around a little bit. So if they get in because they just want to have fun and be social, you can switch that to a job, a money-making job. If they get in because they just want to make money, then you can flip that around and say, okay, well, we're going to also have fun and we're going to appeal to you as a family. So we're going to write in here lifestyle appeal. Okay. Now, where do we think agents are going in the future? I mean, this requires a little more deep dive. Okay, we're going to go over here. We've got some more questions. Okay, Elisa, you said title company, mortgage broker. Okay, thank you, Elisa. We're going to go ahead and write that in here, strategic groups. Okay, you might have somebody working at a title company or a mortgage lender. Good, and that person might be, somebody who's in the industry, but they're not in as a real estate salesperson. Awesome. Linda says we could offer to contribute to insurance premium or a health account without employing. Yes, there actually are some very strategic ways that independent contractors can get life insurance or insurance. So, and you said financial planners. Okay, great. So, okay. All right, we're going to keep going. All right, so now we have our 3 tiers of non-customers, which starts with our customers, get my little pin out, our current market, soon to be non-customers, refusing non-customers, and unexplored. So what does that mean for real estate agents? So now we're going to go through and look at our current agents who are soon to be leaving us. In other words, their production is low, they're lagging, they don't get their paperwork in, they don't show up to office meetings, they're not participating. Why? Why are they in that situation? Is it something you said or did? Or is it something that you can fix by changing your business model and making them excited to be part of your company? What about those who are refusing? In other words, they say, oh, I have a regular job. I could never be a real estate agent. I love it, but I could never do it because I need steady pay. I need a paycheck every 2 weeks, and I need to make sure my bills are covered. I'm the head of household, and I have to provide health insurance. So for those people, those are refusing non-customers. And then you have, say, unexplored, and those are people that you've never thought of in the real estate industry. They're maybe in a completely different line of work, not even in sales, perhaps a teacher or law enforcement officer, or retired or whatever. And those are people who are unexplored. So next you're going to write down who all these customer groups are and where you might find them at. And then we'll go through the price sequence of what our pricing is going to be. Now, say, for example, we come up with the idea that we're going to have employees instead of independent contractors. Each of our agents will be paid a very low hourly fee, minimum wage. They must work at least 30 hours per week. They must check in and come to the office. We will provide them the leads. They're going to work those leads, and they're going to be accountable. Because think about when they're independent contractors, you can't force them to do anything. You can't make them come to meetings, participate. You don't even know what they're doing most of the time because they're not in the office. You don't even know if they're working or what they're doing until they bring a contract or a problem, to your office, and you really don't know what they're doing. But if they're an employee, there's a very high level of accountability. You set the standard. You show them what you want done, how you want it done, and they will come to the office every day. They will make the phone calls. They will follow up, and they will take care of business because that's their primary bread and butter, and they're treating it like a job because it is a job. So say, for example, we go with that business model, and that's part of it. So what about pricing? Is the price easily accessible? Well, paying somebody minimum wage isn't going to get them into real estate. As a salesperson, it's not going to keep them there because the top producers are very motivated and driven by closing transactions and that unlimited freedom to be able to, chart their own course and make as much money as they want to. But so that still exists. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we're going to pay them minimum wage, but we're going to offer huge, giant bonuses. So this would be equivalent to, maybe being on a commission split, maybe a 35% commission split or something. So they're going to get that in addition to every lead handed to them, all the marketing that they need, and they don't have to come out of their pocket a dime. And they also get a regular, steady monthly paycheck along with health insurance. So they know if they close nothing, they know that their basic overhead is covered. Now, if they're closing nothing, you as the brokerage are going to probably let them go after a few months. But that is something just to erase the uncertainty of not knowing when they're going to get paid, but just to know that, okay, my basics are covered. Now I can go for it. I've got nothing to lose by trying to close as many transactions as possible. Okay, so this is part of our new strategy. And so now we're going through the strategic sequence that we just went through. Now you can do that in your workbook. Is there customer utility? Is there value to the agents? I think agents would be lining up to join a brokerage that offered something like this. Now, there is a big company offering something similar. They're offering employees. From what I can see, it has not been as successful in some areas because the industry is not accepting of some of the methods and their proprietary business model. So I think that is a good lesson to you, that don't do what they're doing if they're already trying to do employees and perhaps it's not working, or the parts of it that are working, you can adopt those. Okay. So customer utility, price, cost, adoption. And then we have here our activity worksheet. I'm sorry, our customer utility map. And so here you would go through each stage. Customer productivity, what are the biggest roadblocks to purchase? Now, purchase doesn't mean they're going to buy something from us, but that would be the initial consultation with us where they decide to become an agent. And then delivery, that could be the onboarding process. Use is when they're actually there working at your company. Number 4 are supplements, like what else goes with it as they're working. Maintenance, as they're working at your company, and then disposals when they leave or exit, then what happens. So we go through each of these processes. Their productivity, what are the roadblocks that are identified currently in the market, and how can you improve it? Simplicity, convenience, risk, fun and image, environmental friendliness. And those are each of the fields that you would fill in there. And then we have our pricing corridor. So you're going to look at the pricing as we discussed earlier. Where's your pricing going to be? Upper, mid, lower? Well, for our agents, we're going to set the pricing really low, but give them really huge incentives. And at the end of the day, what matters to an agent? Is it the percentage they're getting, or is it the dollar amount? So you as a brokerage owner, you have a little net sheet, right? You do the same thing with your sellers. When you meet a seller, you show them a net sheet. If you ask this much for your house, here's how much you can get. If you ask this much, here's how much you can get, right? So you show them a net sheet, the bottom line. That's what you can show agents, the bottom line. If you come with us, here's how many transactions our average agent is doing, and here's their bottom line. So it might seem like less, but it's actually more because we help you with the process, with the lead generation, the marketing, and we supply you with customers. And this brings me to another business model that I want to compare, which is timeshare sales. Now, how many of us have taken a timeshare tour? You can raise your hand. It's okay. And in the timeshare tour, what about the agents? They just sit there and wait for the customers. They show up and they leave they show up at the beginning of the day, leave at the end of the day. They don't have to take any marketing home with them. They don't have to do any work outside. They show up, do their job, and the company supplies all the clients for them. Then there's a list of clients and they come in and meet with them. Wouldn't that be great if you could do that for your agents? They show up every morning. You have appointments lined up for them. And here you go, appointment. At the end of the day, they're done and they go home. Wouldn't that be awesome? So this is a strategic pricing profit model, as I discussed earlier. And by the way, the cost might be important for you. You're saying, how can I afford to hire agents on a salary or an hourly as an employee? And you definitely have to start the lead generation first. Start that in the ball rolling. Once you have a steady stream of leads, then you can make sure that your cost is covered. Okay, lastly, the profit model. We just looked at that. And the 4 hurdles to overcome, which is mostly mindset, resources, and motivation. And those are in your activity worksheet as well. Just remember that innovation is a process. It's not a magical thing where you wave a magic wand and all of a sudden a new company appears. It's not a process. It's not something where you go to sleep at night, you have a great dream, and you wake up and you reinvent a new company. It's a process. It takes work, it takes action, and it takes a team with a vision working towards the same goal. So don't expect it to happen overnight. But then again, if you don't start now, when will you start? Now we're going to look at boutique brokerage and see what happened to their agent model. We just went through this process. Before, they only had a few agents. Now with their new business model reinvented, they have many agents. As a matter of fact, agents are clamoring to come work at their company. They're getting a lot of resumes. Most of their agents before were low producing, and now you have medium high producers, not the very, very top producers, because those very, very top producers, they're probably not going to come to your business model. But those who are medium producers and lower to medium can move up to medium high. Before, there was a traditional split, and now you have hourly plus bonuses. Before, you had an independent mindset. Every agent had to fend for themselves, but now you have a very high level of guidance, and you're telling them what they're going to do, and you're providing all the resources for them to be successful. Before, there were the 3 pain points: uncertainty of income, unsteady lead source, no health insurance, so they can't move over to real estate as their full job. And now you solve those pain points. Before, it was difficult to recruit agents, and now you're attracting them without even recruiting. Before, it was a management headache following up with them and trying to chase them around for paperwork and make sure they're doing the right thing. Now you have a dedicated manager, and all of that is taken care of, just like at a regular, ordinary business. Before, you had high turnover, agents leaving. Now you have loyal and dependable staff. Woohoo! Who's excited about the new business model for boutique brokerage? After boutique brokerage went through this sample blue ocean process, they did it not just for their agents, but they did it in a few other areas, and they came out with something completely new. And this is their profit pinwheel. They're in the middle. Now they're called big city brokerage, and they're competing with all the big companies by doing something different and not really competing head to head. They've crafted their own little market share. They now offer, besides residential sales, they have a property management division. They have regular steady income from affiliate partnerships. They've acquired some corporate accounts. They offer in-house mortgage lending, and they even have a construction company that's going to be building some houses and renting them out. And that is an area of the market that traditionally brokerages don't do. And it's a great area because there are a lot of people who want new houses. There are renters, and who not many of us have thought of that, right? So this is going through the whole process. All right, we have some comments here. Shukita says, me. Janice says, I wouldn't have agents as employees, de-incentivize them to work, wouldn't it? Because they are guaranteed a paycheck and benefits. Janice, that is a great question. If you go to a regular job, people aren't de-incentivized because they get a paycheck. A person might think that they are not incentivized to work as hard, and that is why I would pay minimum wage. Is barely enough to get by, and there has to be some accountability in place, right? So the minimum wage, if you have a person that's earning minimum wage month after month, most likely that person will not stay employed. You as a brokerage will have minimum number of transactions they have to close every month, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4. And after that time period, if they don't meet the minimum, they will no longer be working at your company, which is okay because you've got plenty of other people lined up. So that's the way I would do it. And then I would give huge incentives. The incentives are for those people that are really going to be producing. And so, for example, maybe minimum wage is, $1,000 a month, let's just say. But if they go out and they do great at their sales, they'll get, 6, 7, 8,000 a month from their bonuses. So their bonuses would be the bulk of their income, and the minimum wage is just there to sustain them and offer them that financial security, or should we say that psychological safety net, and also for you to be able to have more control over the process and offer them health insurance if you choose to do that. Okay, so you have got it minimum wage, employment contract of 6 months. Well, I'm in California. We don't have contracts. We just have at-will employees. So you work there and then, you don't. And anybody can give a notice at any time for any reason other than discrimination, of course. So I would probably do like a 90-day probationary period. But the important thing is to think through this process, right? So now the company has a new business model, a new compensation plan, a new agent model. They're sailing away into the blue ocean. They are in their boat, headed for the islands, and very excited. All right, so really quick here. I know we're short on time, but we're going to go ahead and talk very briefly about this book called The Execution Factor. Now that we learned all this, we have to put it into action. The execution factor is the one skill that drives success, which means action, doing it, even if it's not perfect. Now, if you're a perfectionist like me, sometimes you overanalyze until you get to everything just perfect. But for myself, I have learned, instead of waiting until it's perfect, to go ahead and execute when I'm at about 90%. And then 5% more I do as I go along, and the other 5%, sometimes I just don't worry about it if it's nothing major. So that's been my little strategy to help me take action. So the 5 traits that the author Kim Perrell mentions are a vision, passion, action, resilience, and relationships. And those are her 5 traits. I would encourage you to get the book on audio if you can and listen to it as you're driving in the car. Just remember, if you don't make a decision to do something, that is a decision. If you do nothing, that is a decision. If you don't make a decision, one will be made for you, and you probably won't like the output. So make the decision and take action. Innovate your real estate company. Now it's your turn to try it. You have the workbook there. Go ahead and take some time to work on your business, not in your business. In conclusion, what hidden icebergs lurk below the surface? Today we went over a summary of steps, a brokerage sample, and the execution factor. And here are 2 books for today: Blue Ocean Strategy and the Execution Factor. And Blue Ocean, we're coming from chapter 8, the last chapter of this book. Any questions, comments, or anything else? Okay, today's offer, Goal Achiever Planners. How many of us would love to have agents join our company? And you can offer them an incentive, which is their very own planner. Oh, thank you, Elisa. She said, thank you for a great 8 weeks. Yay, woohoo. Thank you all for taking your time to join us. I'm going to put this offer up, which is our daily planners. Go ahead and order in bulk for yourself and your company, for your agents that you have and your agents that you're going to have, because you are really going to blow up your company. You're going to blast out of the water with all these great changes. You're going to amaze your competitors and jump away from this red ocean and all these sharks swimming around and these icebergs and sail over to the blue ocean where it's nice and calm and peaceful and a lot more fun. Again, don't forget about our awesome masterclass for brokerage owners. We now have the 12-course bundle available at a discount for you. Let me put the offer up for that. Regular price, $590 for all 12 classes. Our special today is $295, 50% off. We have online access, 24/7, 365 activity worksheets for every single class, bonus content, and of course resources. So you see our little special right there today. Again, we do offer consultations for brokerage owners, aspiring brokerage owners. And actually next week, we're not going to be doing Drive Profits to the Max. That'll be in 3 weeks. Next week, we have a special session. It's called Start Your Own Brokerage. We're going back to the basics. And please invite anybody that you know who wants to be a brokerage owner, who's just getting their brokerage license, who's a team leader thinking about becoming a brokerage owner, or somebody who just opened their brokerage within the last year. That's our target audience next week. My contact info. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us on Be the Boss and Dominate Your Market. I hope everybody is having a wonderful, wealthy, winning Wednesday. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here. Be sure to work on your business, not in your business. Okay, talk to you later. Bye, everybody.